Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are two of my favorite games of all time. In fact, they're number 1 and 2. But that begs the question, which is number 1 and which is number 2? When I think of Breath of the Wild, I think of these things. Hold on, I wrote them down. Freedom. Interpretation. How do I get there? What does that say? Oh, what the hell is that? When Breath of the Wild came out, I was a wee 11 years old. Now at the time, one of the only games you could get on the Switch was Breath of the Wild. Now I knew that this was supposed to be a big game because I had seen Dan TDM play it.
Guys, I'm hyped.
Since it was the only game I had, I booted it up and I played the hell out of it. I really think that one of the reasons that this game is so special to me is that I had no idea what the game was going into it. I remember when I first started playing the game, I got out of the tutorial, or like the first few steps of the game, and I saw this big boulder. Some might call it a rock. Wow, that is a large rock.
I should climb that.
I should climb that large rock. And so I did. But as I approached that rock, the rock started moving. And this is where the amazement of Breath of the Wild hits me. The game doesn't tell you that the rock's there. It doesn't tell you why the rock's there, but it puts the rock in a place that you wonder why the rock is there. So when I wander up to this rock and it starts trying to kill me, I remember it. In Breath of the Wild, you start on the Great Plateau. As far as tutorial areas go, this place is massive. Not as big as the rest of the map, but still pretty massive. I've been watching this guy called Any Austin recently. He's kind of a small channel, he's not as big as me, but if you guys want to check him out, you can check him out in the link in the description. He made a video about Breath of the Wild, and in that video he mentioned this gap right here. Now the way that the story of Breath of the Wild is set up, you have to make it across this gap. But just like with the boulder, it doesn't tell you how to get across, except that it does.
Hey guys, there used to be an axe in that very stump right there, but obviously I've played the game before. But assuming the axe was there, what could we have used it for?
Now, just based on that information, tell me how you have to get across. If you said choice A, let's try it.
Well guys, if we're here, it means you picked choice A. We're gonna try to jump the gap of the cliff. So here we go. I'm scared. Oh no.
No, obviously not. You have to take the axe and cut down a tree to make a bridge for yourself.
I'm gonna chop it on down. Look at that. There's a, oh my gosh, I almost fell off. There's a bridge.
Now, even if you haven't played this game before, chances are that you were able to figure that out just based on those two little details. And that's what makes Breath of the Wild so special. The game is built on things like that. I've never understood why people don't like Breath of the Wild, or why people can't figure out what's so amazing about the game. Cough, cough, my brother. Sorry. I know it's not possible for everyone to like the game, but just like, okay. So let's move on to the basic story of the game, no spoilers. About a century ago, Link got messed up so bad in battle that he had to go into a recuperation pool for 100 years.
Oh my God.
I don't know how bad you have to get messed up to need 100 years to recover, but it must have been pretty bad. Eventually, after 100 years, Link gets woken up by a mysterious female voice. Man, a female voice in Zelda. Who could it be?
Wake up, Link.
However, Link's memory is pretty much gone, so you have to go and figure out by yourself what happened in the past 100 years you've been gone. As you go through the game, you slowly recover some of your memories as you travel throughout Hyrule and meet the people that you will eventually save. Like I said, you start on the Great Plateau. Once you're done with the tutorial, you can get off of the Great Plateau. And I'm not exactly sure how to describe how that feels, so let me just show you. The feeling of exploring a whole new world is something that just can't really be replicated, as much as Tears of the Kingdom may try. The first thing I did after I got off the Great Plateau was get me a trusty steed. There's nothing a real man loves more than his trusty steed. I have a lot of horses in this game, so I'm gonna go through and show you right now.
Here we go. You might see some interesting names here. We have Coco, the name of my first dog. Rest in peace, Coco. You're missed dearly, but they're both like chocolate colored dogs. Then we have Epona, because I might have bought an amiibo or two along the way. Listen, we've all done it, right? Then we got White Boy, self-explanatory. Then we got Big Ass. Now guys, this is a big horse. And I will show you right now. Yeah. Kind of a big horse. Continuing, then we got Thrump. This is a golden horse. And when I say golden, I mean golden, right? So I just thought Thrump would be a funny name. Then we got Shadow. This is a little too chic for me. I don't know why I named it Shadow. I was young. I was bored, right? And then we have Big Ass 2. Yep, same exact size, just in white. And finally, we have Banjo. I like that name. That's a sweet name.
Now that I've gone over the basics of Breath of the Wild, I want to go over the basics of Tears of the Kingdom. Similarly, I will not be spoiling as I want everyone to play both of these games. Tears of the Kingdom is the first game that I was really hyped for.
Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Holy guacamole, there he is.
Before I get further into the video, I want to make it clear that Tears of the Kingdom matched my extremely high expectations and even surpassed them. And keep in mind that I had been waiting 6 years for this game. The main plot of Tears of the Kingdom is that Ganondorf, who I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's kind of a big deal in the Zelda universe. Ganondorf is an old fella from a long time ago. He's back and he's ready to mess pretty much everything ever up. Link accidentally discovers Ganondorf's corpse while searching through the underground of Hyrule. And as you could probably guess, this goes terribly wrong. It results in the story of the game, and with you, way up there. The tutorial area of this game is called the Great Sky Islands. Wait a second. Great Plateau, Great Sky Islands, kind of similar. Yeah, the tutorial here is pretty much the same type of thing as Breath of the Wild, but if the formula works, use it. Similar to Breath of the Wild, in the tutorial, there's a tree trunk moment. You have to get across a river, and to do this, you have to use one of your abilities to manipulate the objects to build a little boat.
I can't get across this, but I'm not blind. I see that I have 2 logs and a conveniently placed sail, all right? Now I also have Ultra Hand. Now I really don't think I'm prone to exaggeration, but this is the greatest thing ever created in a video game. I've just made a legit boat that oh my god. And we are here.
Where Breath of the Wild has Hyrule, Tears of the Kingdom has Hyrule, the Sky Islands I mentioned earlier, and the depths. Now yes, this sounds awesome, and to an extent it is, but it's not all good. Sure, Tears of the Kingdom physically has more, but how much more does it really have? The Sky Islands are few and far between.
Now as you can see, we're on a little sky island, and it looks pretty cool. And in the distance, it looks like there's a ton of things. Like there's this little rotating contraption here. There's the one I'm on right now. There's some in the distance, but you can't really get to them, you know? And I love the Sky Islands. I do. But I would have loved a little more, you know? That's all I'm saying.
In a game centered around the fact that there are Sky Islands, shouldn't I be able to travel between the Sky Islands a little bit more? There's also a ton of Sky Islands that serve almost no purpose. Why? What else does it add to the game other than to be able to say it's there? Now, the depths. The first time you explore the depths, it's cool. I didn't even know they were there going into the game, so that was a pretty big shock.
Oh my god. It is so dark in here. Love that horn. Sounds awesome. I don't know if you can see it, but off in the distance, there's that little strand. Now that little strand is where you light up the depths. But if you don't light that up, it just looks like a... What the hell is that in the distance? If you don't light that up, it's just a whole lot of darkness. And it's... I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of scary. It's pretty cool, but it all looks like this. Dark, bleak, scary. Similar to the Sky Islands, it could have been more, you know? Anyway, let's beat the crap out of this guy driving this little contraption.
The depths are cool. It's basically like a whole other map underground. Now, while the depths do fix the Sky Islands' problems of being slightly fragmented, I just don't want to be there. I have no reason to want to be in this dark, bleak, unchanging location. It's too hard to see. I'm sorry, I know I can manually light it up, but I don't want to! I don't want to! That brings me to the main land of Hyrule. While the Sky Islands and depths are a little bit lacking and are just shy of being great, Hyrule is awesome, just like it was in Breath of the Wild. Now it is the same chunk of land that it was in Breath of the Wild, but Tears of the Kingdom adds just enough to where it feels pretty new. The towns have progressed, there's plenty of things to do and people to meet. There's that same vibe of wanting to explore.
This here is one of my favorite villages. Oh my god, I'm getting crazy frames right now, I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do a similar shot between both games. See if I can get it to work. And you can see how maybe it changed. I don't know. Listen, I'm just trying to do creative stuff here. Alright guys, and here we are in Breath of the Wild. Now as you can see, where Tears of the Kingdom was all jumbled up and I don't know, there was a lot going on. It's so much more peaceful. It's a totally different vibe. There's not that wonder of like, what even happened here? It's clear what happened here. They're in the mountains, they're hidden. See, in Breath of the Wild, there's more like a normal hidden town, but now there's a lot more going on, like a lot of ruins, a lot of different things to explore, which is pretty cool. Same map, different vibe.
And there's plenty of new mysteries added in, including caves. Caves in Tears of the Kingdom are so underrated. They seem like a minor addition, but being able to physically go into the mountains and find secrets upon secrets is awesome.
And every single well in the game leads somewhere. So you go in, and it brings you into, that's right, a cave. Caves are all over this game. They're everywhere, and it's awesome. I don't think I've ever, oh my god, there's another well. Where am I? Oh my god, there's another one. See, this is what I'm talking about. They all lead somewhere. Whoa. See, I never would have known about this if I hadn't fell into that well. This is why I should always fall into wells. Great piece of advice.
And I never really found myself getting bored of it. Speaking of, how do I get out of here? To answer that, I must first take you through the abilities of Breath of the Wild. Abilities in this game are mostly accessed through the Sheikah Slate. The Sheikah Slate is a piece of ancient technology made by the ancient civilization known as the Sheik. And yes, it does look suspiciously similar to the Nintendo Switch. The abilities of the Sheikah Slate are as follows. Cryonis. Remote Bomb. Magnesis. Clang. And finally, Stasis.
Good job, Connell. Another excellent explanation.
Oh, that wasn't enough of an explanation? Cryonis makes a big old block of ice in the water that allows you to stand on it.
Oh no, help me. But no, I'm gonna drown. No, please. I'm gonna die. Ah!
Remote Bomb is a remote bomb.
Chew on that. Oh, he's... What? How do you know how to do that? Oh. Oh my god. Killed me. Maybe, never mind.
Magnesis allows you to manipulate anything metal, and Stasis allows you to freeze things in place.
He doesn't know I'm here.
Now, those are the Sheikah Slate abilities, but there are 4 more that you get through playing the game. I will not explain the context for how you get those abilities, but I will explain what those abilities are. They include Revali's Gale, a gust of wind that sends you shooting into the air.
Alright, first up we're testing Revali's Gale, which is probably the best ability ever. Now I want to get up there to that little rock. You see it? You see it. Let's do it. Oh, look at that. It's amazing.
Daruk's Protection, a shield that protects you from any attack.
For up to 3 hits. Next up I want to show you Daruk's Protection. Now as you can see, this is a far drop. It's very far, you will most certainly die if you jump. But if I do this, the story changes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't even feel it. Let's try it again. Far too easy. Who's that guy?
Mipha's Grace, a second light. And finally, Urbosa's Fury. To put it lightly, and in a completely not exaggerating way, these are the single greatest abilities ever made. They make the game much more manageable and make you feel like you've really become powerful. Now let's move on to the abilities of Tears of the Kingdom. In Tears of the Kingdom, you have a Pura Pad, which looks also suspiciously similar to the Nintendo Switch. But while you get Breath of the Wild's abilities from your Sheikah Slate, in Tears of the Kingdom, it comes from your arm. Why? Don't worry about it, no spoilers. Ultra Hand, which allows you to manipulate, fuse, and move pretty much anything you want together, which yes, is as insane as it sounds. Fuse allows you to fuse pretty much anything you want to a sword or a shield, vastly improving their effectiveness, which yes, is as awesome as it sounds. Ascend allows you to swim through cave tops, cliffs, and ledges, spitting you out at the top. That's how you would get out of caves, and yes, it is as useful as it sounds.
Hey guys, it's me. It's me from earlier. And I was so amazed by this cave, how it kept going further and further down. I'm stuck down here. I can't get back up. So what do? Simple. It's very simple. All I'm gonna do is hit this ascend button. Hit this ascend symbol. And I swim through the top of the cave. And look at that. I'm right back at the stable.
Finally, you have Recall, which allows you to replay the motion of objects, reversing them in time, which, yes, is as situationally effective as you would assume.
Alright guys, we're doing the recall test today. So let's say, I'm going off on a nice little trip in my glider, right? I want to see the world. But oh no, I forgot my my phone, or my Zonai, you know what I'm saying, okay? Boop. I hit recall. Goes back in time! This, well, no, you're not using this every single second. When you get to use it, it's so satisfying.
I'm not gonna lie, Tears of the Kingdom's abilities puts Breath of the Wild to shame. It's hard to explain how amazing it feels to be able to build your way out of a difficult situation, and it's legitimately one of the most absurd things I've encountered in a game. Now, if I had to go back and play Breath of the Wild all the way through, I fear that I would greatly miss that level of creativity. Now, these features are amazing and I could go on and on about them, but there's still 4 more I have to cover. Similar to Breath of the Wild, you discover these 4 things throughout the story. And they're similar to the ones that you find in Breath of the Wild, except way worse. Revali's Gale, now it's Vow of Tulin. A horizontal gust of wind that pushes you while you're flying. Daruk's Protection, now it's Vow of Yunobo, which allows you to shoot him. I don't really know why I would want that, but okay, it's fine. Mipha's Grace, now it's Vow of Sidon, which allows you to be covered in a big old bubble and used as a shield for 1 hit or a big attack for 1 slash. And yeah, that's fine, that's useful, whatever, but I've never once thought to myself, you know what would be really useful right now? A big bubble. And Urbosa's Fury, which is now Vow of Reju, which is like Urbosa's Fury, but now only for arrows. And finally, there's a 5th secret one called Vow of Minoru, which is basically a big mech that you can control and put weapons on. Honestly, these things sound fine, even quite useful. Maybe not as useful as Breath of the Wild's, but still fine. And they would be, if they didn't follow you around. Physically follow you around. Everywhere. Fighting, they'll help you out in the fight, but only enough to get in your way. Not enough to help out, just enough to piss you off a little bit. Walking to a location, great, they're coming along for the journey. Which is fine, until it starts to look like this.
Alright, let's see what happens if I go over here next to these explosive barrels. What do you think they're gonna do? Why are they chasing him? Help me! Alright, there it is. Oh wait, actually, big boy over here threw it. But you see what I'm talking about? Like, they're a little bit useful, but they're just in the way. Alright, that's kinda cool, I can't lie. I guess they are useful. Maybe I was a little too harsh on them, but they're physically there, which is too much for me. It's overwhelming.
On top of that, you physically have to walk up to them and click on them to activate it. Why? You had it right in the first game. Follow your own advice. I strongly dislike these abilities. So much so that I turn them all off, except for my boy Tulin. Me and him, we're like this. So when comparing Breath of the Wild's and Tears of the Kingdom's abilities, I don't really know. But I guess I'm gonna have to put Tears of the Kingdom a little bit ahead of Breath of the Wild just because those base abilities are so crazy. Now I know I spent a long time on that segment, but we're gonna move on to the stories of both of these games. Both of these games' stories are fragmented and pretty confusing, and in some cases, straight up boring. Breath of the Wild story is very fragmented, but that's part of the game. You were asleep for 100 years and you lost some of the memories you made. Tears of the Kingdom story is also fragmented, but less so than Breath of the Wild's, but also more so. In Breath of the Wild, you're exploring a world that's still recovering from what was basically an apocalypse. Tears of the Kingdom deals with a similar thing, but with the addition of the Sky Islands and depths, which, like I said, don't add enough. Now, where Tears of the Kingdom largely messed up on the sky and depth, they succeeded in the main story. It's much more complete than Breath of the Wild and has a much cooler villain. It's Ganondorf, again. It's always Ganondorf. But in this game, it's actually a real human threat rather than that thing. And don't get me wrong, that's cool, but that's way cooler. The only thing that got me really heated about Tears of the Kingdom was this. These are the Sage cutscenes. Now these are major points of the game, and for every single cutscene, it's the exact same thing.
Indeed.
Yes,
I am your ancestor. Time long past.
Same exact lines, same stupid, emotionless thing. Again, these are major points of the stories. God, give him extra lines, man. It's just lazy, and it's one of the things that's keeping me from saying that Tears of the Kingdom is better than Breath of the Wild. Now we've talked about the stories, let's move on to architecture. The main thing I want to look at is the difference between the Sheik technology and Zonai technology. In Breath of the Wild, you spend a lot of time with Sheikah technology and Sheikah buildings. The Sheik were an ancient civilization that built all that and then dipped. And I'm not gonna lie guys, this stuff is awesome. There's something so interesting about divine beasts, shrines, the big towers, and other leftover technology that is so awesome. In Tears of the Kingdom, you spend a lot of time with Zonai technology. The Zonai were an ancient civilization that built all that and dipped. But don't worry, they're not the same as the Sheik. They're more ancient. And they're furries. Just kidding, this is a game with fish people and boulder people and bird people and people people. Cat people aren't too much out of the ordinary. The Zonai tech is cool. It's interesting and it's nice to look at, but the Sheikah tech is way cooler. With the Zonai tech, you look at it and say, oh, that's pretty cool. With the Sheikah tech, you look at it and say, oh my God, what the hell is that? Which leads me into my next section, enemies. Breath of the Wild has a plethora of different enemies, many of which made the cut into Tears of the Kingdom. Bokoblins, Moblins, Lizalfos, Lynels, Guardians. Where is it? Where is it? Guardians instill fear. Built by the Sheikah, they are giant mechanical spiders that shoot targeted lasers at you. And because of this, they are awesome. They are awesome! Now, Tears of the Kingdom shares a lot of enemies with Breath of the Wild, but with the addition of some, like that thing. I believe it's called a Sheeblegob. See, I made that name up and you probably didn't even know. However, since there is no more Sheikah tech in Tears of the Kingdom, there's no more Guardian. And what do you put in place of the Guardian? Gloom Hands. Gloom Hands are scary. Maybe not as scary as the Guardian, but still pretty terrifying. If you end up beating the Gloom Hands, you then have to square up with Phantom Ganon. And he's pretty cool. I could honestly talk about every single minute detail about this game. And I will, but that'll be a separate video, one for each game. But there's only so much I can talk about before I get to what you've all been waiting for. I don't know. There's really no decisive winner. One game isn't soundly better than the other. Tears of the Kingdom definitely had better abilities, excluding the Sage abilities, which takes the mechanics of the game to an entirely different level, but there's so much more they could have done. They could have made the Sky Islands a little fuller. They could have made the depths a little more interesting to explore. They could have given the sages a few different lines.
Indeed.
I mean, imagine the budget that this game had. Breath of the Wild isn't perfect by any means either. Tears of the Kingdom makes it look like a test version. But Breath of the Wild is basically my definitive childhood game. I've been playing it since I was 11. Look at that. This is all cutscene right here. The music. Tears of the Kingdom could be absolutely perfect, and it still wouldn't be able to replicate what I felt when I first walked out of the Shrine of Resurrection. So what is the better game? It's the game that gives you the most feeling of amazement. I felt it with both of these games, But I think I'm gonna have to give my number 1 spot to Breath of the Wild and my number 2 spot to Tears of the Kingdom. That being said, both of these games are as close to perfect as you can get for me, so one game can't be that much better than the other. Please go play them. I'm on my knees. I'm actually not on my knees, but I'm close enough. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and leave a comment letting me know what game you like more. All right, I think I'm gonna warp on out of here now.